All right, welcome guys. I'm Mr. Major, so used to have me. I have the alphabet MC through PA here. And this is Mr. Wood, who's the counselor right now at Central Campus.
And good morning, and I recognize some faces in here. You probably recognize mine as well from last year. Mr. Well over there, and it's good to see you here. I'm sure that you're having a ball over your students. It's a very different experience in Central. Also with us today is Ms. McGraw, who's an intern in the guidance department. She's going to help us out this morning. And then some of you might remember Mr. O'Malley, counselor over at Central, who also is sponsor or co-sponsor of the video club. So he's helping us with videotape today, so that everything we do today can be moved on our website, perhaps. Okay. All right, we're here to kind of pick up where we left off last year. You might remember that either Mr. Major or myself came to one of your PE classes or ROTC classes, and we introduced to you the idea of emotional management, or strategies for you to take responsibility for how you feel and how you behave in life. We think it's important to actually just have a follow-up lesson. And so your teachers very graciously and wonderfully invited us in to take a class period from your health instruction, because this is health instruction. Feeling happy and healthy in your life has a lot to do with your mental state of mind. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So before we get into reintroducing this concept and taking it a little bit further, you will see that a survey is coming back. We're going to ask that you only have something to write with out on your desk, and everything else can go underneath your chair. So if you just take something to write with out, and then everything else goes underneath your chair, that would be helpful. All right, please put your name on this. And then just quickly go through the 6 statements.
Should take more than a minute or so. Thank you.
The 5 on the front should have maybe one best answer, and then the 6th question on the back could have multiple answers. Check all that apply. While you're doing that, we're going to come around and pass out some quiz number notes, and we'll explain the technology a little bit. You don't need to do anything with it until we get going with quiz number.
Okay, at this time, what we're going to do, take a look at your remote. What we're going to end up doing is we're going to transfer our answers to the screen live, and then we'll be able to discuss those together. Okay, so take the remote and press the on button and hold it. Okay, and a cue should come up there. And then it should probably say maybe ready.
If yours isn't going on, let us know.
Yeah, let us know. We'll come by and maybe give you a. And it works. Everybody works? Good. All right, so from there, how you'll transfer your answer from here to the screen is you're going to use these top buttons here, top and bottom. You'll scroll down for A, B, or C, or D, okay? And then on the right, you have the send button, and you just send it. And it'll go straight there, okay? All right, so we're going to take a look at the first question.
All right, do other people cause you to feel a certain way? So scroll up or down to highlight your answer choice, and then the button on the right, send, press that. As you do that, it's locking in your answer. We can tell down here when everybody's done. Watch the percentage increase.
This is on, so if you'd like to accept this one, you go around.
All right, and I think we're at 100% only because we have a remote on that isn't being counted. All right, very good. So let's take a look at how you answered as a group. 2 people said yes, others cause my feelings. In other words, you say something nice to me, I feel good. You say something mean to me, I feel bad. And that's not going to change until you apologize. That's what I hear in A. 4 people said no, others don't influence me at all. So there's 4 of you thinking around, and you kind of walk around in an armor all shield, and people say things, and it's like, people say nice things, and people say mean things, and it doesn't affect me at all. There's no influence on me. All right, 23 of you said no, others don't cause me to feel a certain way, but they certainly contribute to how I feel. And then nobody said none of the above, so very good. All right, if you recall from last year, we introduced a concept called emotional management, a theory that's been most recently written by and studied by Mr. Major and I, people in guidance, by a man named called Albert Ellis. And his theory basically is summed up by this ABC model. And what he said is that he thinks that a lot of people think like the 2 people that answered A. So we're really in a different place than the majority of people. A lot of people think that adversities happen in life, people say things to us, or something happens in our life, and then we feel a certain way, and we blame that person or that event for how we feel. That happened, and now I feel this way. Okay? He said, but that's really not the reality of it. You know, because if that were the reality of it, every time someone said something to a group of people, we would all feel the same. Or every time that we all had an event happen in our life that was the same, we'd all feel the same. And that's not true. We don't find that to be true. So, here's the big news. He uncovered, and we're hoping that you will understand, that things happen in life, people say things to you, and events happen in life, but that, along with your own personal attitudes, beliefs, habits, and values, then contribute to how you choose to feel. That's the big concept here, is that people don't say nasty things to you, and now you're angry, and you have to stay angry until that person apologizes. Instead, someone says something to you, and you might be angry. Therefore, you can explore your beliefs. What is it you're telling yourself that's resulting in anger? Challenge those beliefs and move away from anger to a healthy negative emotion as opposed to an unhealthy negative emotion. So Albert Ellis's concept is that things happen, people say things to us in life, and it doesn't cause us to feel a certain way. Those things influence how we feel because we experience that through our own attitudes, beliefs, habits, and values. So the big news is, if you spend a lot of time feeling these unhealthy negative emotions in life, with this theory and with this understanding, if you don't want to stay here, you can challenge your own thinking and move away from that to this. And we're going to explore the difference between these in a little bit. There's a big difference. There's a reason these are called healthy emotions even though they're negative, and these are called unhealthy even though they're negative. Okay, so the best answer, the 23 of you that answered, you're right in line with Mr. Ellis, that no, other people don't cause how I feel, but they certainly influence how I feel. Okay? All right, number 2.
Okay, do life events or circumstances cause how I feel? A, yes, life events or circumstances cause my feelings. B, no, life events or circumstances don't influence me at all. C, no, but life events or circumstances contribute to how I feel. Or D, none of these. So go ahead and lock in your answers. 83% moving. We're almost there. And you can go ahead. All right, good. So, in this question, I'll be honest with you, it's somewhat similar to the last one, right? The last one dealt with, do people influence me? Do they cause me to feel a certain way? And this is circumstances. And we have a little bit of a difference here. We have 13 that answered A, none that answered B or D, then we have 16 for C. Quick question, for those of you who answered A, can I have a show of hands? All right, now who's brave enough to tell me why'd you pick that?
I don't know, because I'm not sure.
Anyone? Why you might have? How about you back there?
Well, there has to be something that directly influences how you feel. That nothing, like not everything can just contribute.
Okay, and I would agree with you there, is that, Mr. Wood, when explaining the ABC theory, he talked about that word influence. But here we're saying cause. It's the reason, okay, that you're there. That if this happened, several people would feel the same way. So did you maybe misread the question, or do you still feel that this would have to happen? Can you give me an example of how, if something happened, there's no question I would be on the unhealthy negative side?
Like an example of a situation.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. An event.
Like family member getting cancer.
Okay. And and by the way, guys, that's very common in all the classes that we taught. Usually that kind of pops up. So I'm glad you brought that up. So let's talk about that. Then what do you think we have to feel?
Depression.
Okay. Now, first of all, it's very normal, obviously, to lay on the unhealthy negative side. The question is how long do we stay there, okay? But getting back to cause, could there have been other people in your family members that necessarily didn't feel depression? Maybe they were sadness.
Possibly, but it seems like a very critical situation.
Okay. And by the way, we're talking about the depression that's, situational. It's not clinical. It lasts for, it's bouts, right? Okay. So in taking a look at this then, And for an example, Mr. Wood and I taught a class the other day, and we talked about the death of our parents. And Mr. Wood went through an experience where he was like, what you're saying, he felt depressed for a certain amount of time when his dad passed away. He meant a lot to him, and his belief system was a little bit different, which we'll go into in a second, as opposed to mine. When my father died, he was 82, he lived a long life, he had lung cancer, so he was suffering. And at that time, I was more, when he passed away, saddened and almost, it's not up here, but relieved, that his pain is gone and hopefully it's in a better place. So as far as my belief system was, sure, I prefer to have my dad. I love him, I had him for all my life, but, the fact that he's passed, he's in a better place. Where perhaps at the time, and you can correct me, Mr. Wood had maybe a little bit different belief system about his dad passing. His was, he had a need, and his need was that he needed his dad still. We both start out with the same preference, guys, which is we prefer to, of course, have our dad with us, right? But the fact that they passed, I think Mr. Wood was somewhat stuck at the time, and he admitted to that, unless maybe you want to speak to that right now.
No, I think that's probably pretty accurate. My belief system was contributing to my feelings of depression. So the 13 of you that said this, I'm right there with you. Sometimes you feel like, I didn't choose to be depressed. Someone that's really important to me in my family has cancer. Come on, that's a bunch of BS. I don't choose to be depressed. That's depressing. And I think the reason, and we're not even disputing that sometimes you'll fall in this unhealthy negative column, because even we still have these emotions. We're human beings. I realize that sometimes something has happened and I'm feeling depressed. The beauty of this theory is, once I realize that the depression isn't going to take that cancer away from that person, that depression is probably going to keep me from being a wonderful support system for that person who's suffering with the cancer. The depression is helping me to make poor choices as far as getting my homework done. Once we realize that we're depressed and then ask ourselves, what am I telling myself? And depression, like the rest of these emotions, there's always an irrational belief. The same thing I have with my father is you might have with someone in your family with cancer, and it sounds like this. Oh my God, I can't believe that mom has got cancer. People survive it, but not everybody. And what if I lose my mom? I can't live without her. I still need my mom.
The key word is can't.
That's the irrational belief. Because I kind of felt that way when my dad passed. He taught me so much. Life was so much richer. It was awesome. He was a great guy. And I said, I can't go on. Who am I going to pick up the phone and call when I need some advice or just want to hang out and talk? And I realize now that that's 2007, 6 years ago. Did I survive it? The irrational belief is, I can't go on. Life isn't worth living. And in reality, it is. So we oftentimes find ourselves feeling these things because just like an athlete who does what to get better? What does an athlete do to get better? What does an athlete do to get better? Practices. You're practicing a belief system right now. Every day you wake up, you have certain beliefs, and you're going to make them stronger over time, or you're going to realize this one doesn't work for me, and you let it go. And the longer we practice our beliefs, the quicker we'll end up here if they're irrational.
And we want you to take control. That's the point. We want to improve your quality of life. And, when we're on that right side, we don't make good decisions. I mean, let's face it, when we're depressed, what might we do? Anybody? Just little things. How about yourself? God, I can't do it. What might you do if you're depressed?
Cry? I don't know.
Okay.
And I mentioned some things in what I was doing. Not engaging with people, not keeping up with my schoolwork,
Not eating right.
returning friends' texts or calls.
So what could happen as a result of that? Schoolwork starts finishing. All you want to do is stay in bed, do that.
I wrote down the word.
Okay.
And the ultimate decision someone can make when they're depressed is
Sure. Harm themselves.
harm
Yeah.
themselves.
I mean, any emotion on that unhealthy side is one where we do make poor decisions. When we're angry, what might we do? Say things that we don't want to, perhaps. Yeah. Maybe get into a fight, whatever.
A quick disclaimer here about depression. We're not medical experts. There are times when people can't talk themselves out of depression by challenging their thinking. There are times when people do need a medical doctor and maybe the assistance of medication. We're not talking about that. We're talking about my cat died, or I lost my best friend today, or my friend moved away. That's the kind of depression we're talking about that we can have influence over. So one last thing before we go on. What we're trying to get to you today is not that you will not feel these things. We're not saying if you feel these things, you don't know how to live life.
It's wrong.
We're all going to feel
Yes.
this way. The difference is, by knowing this theory, you're going to decrease the frequency, intensity, and duration of how often, how long, and how intense you feel these negative emotions. What I did, because I knew this when my father passed, I tell you honestly, I probably spent, instead of this much time being depressed, I spent about this much time. And it could have been much worse had I not known that my depression, my irrational belief that I can't live without my father, is not going to bring him back. It's not going to improve the quality of my life. He wouldn't be happy that I'm living my life so sad because he's gone. He taught me so much in the time I did have with him. Why not celebrate that? So I talked myself out of depression, sadness, and then ultimately today when I think of my father, I have nothing but happiness, honestly. I don't even have sadness anymore. Because I'm not happy that he died, but I'm so happy that I had all that time with him. That was so awesome. So that's how you can talk yourself through to a healthier place.
And very simply, just to make an example of the 13 that maybe felt that it does cause, the A does cause C to happen. I'll give you a quick example. Let's say test anxiety, all right? All of these have to take a test. And this is something that's real because from our research that we're finding is that many people get very anxious. And then in turn, their consequence is that they don't perform very well. So what is their irrational belief? Basically, there's a difference. Not everyone is going to be anxious when taking a test. The activating event is taking a test. And out of 30 students, maybe there's 10 of them that are anxious, that are on the unhealthy side, and there's 20 of them that would be where, maybe? As opposed to being anxious, where would you want to be? Anyone? What do you think? Concern? I think the qualitative difference between anxiety and concern is when you're anxious, there's a lack of control there. Where when you're concerned, you're prepared, you're aware. It's not that you don't prepare, but you're more prepared for that test itself.
And where might the anxiety come from? Again, some sort of irrational belief. It might sound like this. Oh my God, I gotta pass this test because this is like the exam and it's going to influence my grade. And if I get lower than a B, I'm not going to get into Stanford. And if I don't get into Stanford, my life is over. It's not even worth going on. My parents are going to go with my case. Irrational belief is if I don't perform well, I'm not going to reach my goals. This is how you can challenge it by saying this. Man, I hope I do well. But you know what? If I don't, it might change my future a little bit, but I can still get into a college. There's no doubt about it. So I'm just going to relax and do my best. And if that's your belief, you're going to have concern. You're going to perform better. If you're putting all that pressure on yourself for some irrational reason that life's going to end if you don't do well, guess what? You're sabotaging yourself. You're not going to do well in that test because you're so preoccupied with the fact you have to do well in that test. You're not even freeing up the information to come to mind to put it on the paper. So if you're sitting there anxious at a test, the first thing you should do is, what am I telling myself? Why am I so concerned? And I'll tell you what, if it's this, oh man, I didn't study like I should have, then you know what? Talk yourself out of it and realize that you've got to study more. That's why those healthy negative emotions are awesome, because they usually motivate us to change our behavior. Concern is good, because if you're concerned every time you take a test, you're probably going to study every time you take a test. If you're anxious every time you're going to take a test, you're probably just going to shut down. All right, let's go to 3. Which is the best description of the types of feelings you can have? Lock in your answer. All right, most of you are right. There's 3 categories here that can be right, because certainly 2 of you said healthy, unhealthy. Absolutely, healthy, unhealthy. 5 said negative, positive. Absolutely, there's positive, there's negative up there. Healthy, positive, healthy, negative, and unhealthy, negative. That's what we were looking for because that includes all of them. And then 3 people here that said none of the above, I'm a little concerned for you. You should be feeling some emotion in life, whether it be positive or negative, healthy, unhealthy. So these 3 people, if you didn't misinterpret that question, that's why we have counselors at the school. Please get down, talk to somebody. You should have some sort of emotion in your life. All right, number 4.
At this point in your life, which of the following do you need to survive? You know, A, parental guidance, B, cell phones, C, approval or respect from others, D, confidence, or E, none of the above. Okay, this is one of my favorite questions. It's kind of a trick question, I'll be honest with you, because the key word is survive. All right. Answers A, parental guidance. Also answers C, approval or respect from others, and answers D, which is confidence. You know, they all improve your quality of life. I would agree with that. But do you need them to survive? Those of you who answered A, parental guidance. Who here feels that you absolutely need parental guidance to survive? All right, you're off the chicken.
How about anybody that answered A, C, or D? Anybody want to take a risk and say, why do you need one of those things? Why do you need them to survive?
Well, and to briefly go through it, unfortunately, there are certain students right now that don't have parents at this point in time for whatever reason, or maybe have parents that give you very poor parental guidance, and they're surviving. So that's not the answer. C, approval or respect from others. Well, oftentimes each day I don't get approval from somebody or respect, but that's not going to allow me not to survive. And then D, confidence. I know plenty of students that are walking around, adults alike, that don't have confidence that are surviving. And that's the key word, survive. There's 3 things you need in life to survive. What are they? Food, water, shelter. Done. Okay? Guess what? Everything else after that is a want. So wants versus needs. If you remember anything, that's a small little thing that, there's only truly 3 things we need in life to survive. Everything else after that is a want. And why I bring that up is if you change a want to a need, and the need's not met, you're always going to land to that right side every single time. If you have a need that, I gotta, get an A on this test, and the test comes and you have experiences that you don't get that A or what have you, you're going to end up feeling whatever on it, whether it's anxiety, fear, who knows, okay? So that's something in which we as humans have the ability to change people's, wants and needs all the time. Of course, we're not taking away your preference, guys. That's not what we're teaching. Yes, we prefer to do well or what have you. But when you change that want to a need, that's where that irrational belief slips in. I need to have this. This needs to happen.
So the 6 of you that said none of the above, that's what we're shooting for. You really don't need these things. If you turn them into needs, then you're probably going to live a little bit more in the unhealthy, negative range in your life. We're not saying these things aren't important. So we're not going to say, the counselor said I don't need to be confident in life. Mom, keep writing. Don't stop writing me about that. These things definitely improve the quality of your life, make your life better. But you need them to survive. No. And once you keep remembering that, then everything's okay. Everything's good. As long as you got food, water, and shelter, you're good to go. Okay. All right, number 5. Which would be the best choice in dealing with your anger that you might be feeling? And we're going to kind of go through this one a little quickly, only because we have a role play that we'd like to do with you today to kind of demonstrate what we're talking about today. So those of you that have that acting involved, we're looking for you to step forward in just a little bit. All right, let's go to the slide there. One more person's going to check in, and it will change our results if they do. All right, retaliate immediately while I'm upset. What's the downside of that? Why is it best not to retaliate while you're still angry? How are you most likely to behave when you're feeling unhealthy, negative emotions? Anger is usually going to result in probably doing something you're going to regret. Fighting, expressing that anger in really unhealthy ways, probably not the best way to go. All right, 11 of you said, challenge the beliefs I have in order to manage my anger before I respond. That's exactly what we're talking about. This is what we were shooting for, and the majority of you are there. C, just be angry, don't respond, there's nothing I can do. That seems like a good choice, Because in the end, you're not hurting anyone, or are you? Who are you hurting? Yourself. Yes, that anger is going to decrease the quality of your life. Matter of fact, physiologically, your body will pay the price. If you live in anger for a prolonged period of time, you're releasing stress hormones. It's really deteriorating the quality of your tissue in your body. It's not a healthy place to be. Work through that anger, okay? D, call or text my friends. If you have really compassionate, rational friends that will talk you out of being angry, that can be a good choice. But we find in the guidance office, sometimes people do this, and now we got a mob of people that are going after someone. All right, so if your friends are irrational, this is not a good choice. And then I'm not sure what to do, that's why we're here. I'm glad we came back. All right, we're going to be doing a
role play. And I need 4 actors. I'm going to go with 4. And those actors, if you do that, you won't have to do the paperwork. So can I have 4 volunteers?
You volunteer to be an actor, then you don't have to do the
1!
paperwork.
Okay, thank you so much. Let's see here. 2, yeah. 3. All right. And don't look my way. Don't look my way.
It's not a thought at all. As a matter of fact, everything is written for you.
Come on back.
You're going to be told exactly what you need to say, so it's not a big deal. So the rest of you prefer to do the written work, huh? All right. Here's the activity that we're going to do during the time that remains in class. We're going to see how well you've been listening. So let me just give you the instructions for this sheet. When the students come back in, and Mr. Raven comes back in, they're going to be acting out as if they were in a biology classroom. And we chose biology because you've all had it last year. Maybe you might even know the answers to the questions he's going to ask. So the 4 students will be students in his class. He's going to portray the teacher. Since there's 4 of them, and it's just too much to watch, we're asking you to watch 2 students, so you choose. So when they come in, I'll say, this is student 1, 2, 3, and 4. You write down the 2 students' numbers that you're going to watch, okay? For each of the 2 students that you watch, you want to figure out what the A, B, C, D, E is, okay? So what's their activating event? What's the problem that they're facing right now? And I'm going to give you a clue. The activating event or the problem they're facing is the same for all 4 of them. What's their circumstance, okay? Then I would suggest you drop down to C. What emotion is that person portraying? By the way they're speaking, by what they're saying, what emotion? Now you've got 3 lists up here. This will make it easy. Just choose an emotion from the board that person's portraying. Then go back to their B. If they're looking like they're angry, what do you think they're telling themselves? What's their belief about being in this class today? What's their belief about being there? Then you can jump down to the D. If they're feeling unhealthy, negative emotions like anger, what can they tell themselves to get themselves not angry anymore, to dispute their thinking? And then E, if they did dispute their thinking effectively and talk themselves out of anger, what do you think they feel now? Okay? So you're just going to write down the A, B, C, D, E for the 2 students that you choose to watch over 4. Any questions? All right. Since we want them in front of everybody, I'm going to ask the 2 of you maybe just to relocate to another seat so I can use your desks up front here. And we're going to have you turn them this way. Why don't you bring it back a bit to the center? All right, so we'll line them right in front of you, and we'll explore. All right, student 1, all the way up here.
Got this up here.
Student 1, 2, 3, and 4. Student 1 in front.
Am I 1?
It doesn't matter.
All right, so if you're, as people keep completing the work, student 1, student 2, student 3, student 4. All right.
All right, class. We have a biology class here. We got 5 questions. Here we go. It's going to be an oral quiz, so to speak. So the first question for you guys is this. When air freshener spreads throughout a room, it does so by what scientific process? How about you, boss?
I don't know. This is hard.
Can you give me an answer?
Dude, I don't know anything in this class at all. I don't even know what I'm doing.
Well, maybe if you study a little bit more. How about yourself? All right, go ahead.
Diffusion.
Nice job. It's diffusion. Okay, good. Well, let's go with question 2. Maybe we'll have better luck. What are the basic building blocks of all living things?
I don't know. I'm tired.
Got to get that rest.
Are you kidding me?
I don't want to be wrong.
Well, just give it a try, maybe.
Cells.
Correct. Nice job. All right. Third one's not too hard. You guys should know this. What is the name of the process by which substance moves through a membrane from an area of higher concentration to an area of lower concentration?
Why are you calling on me? She knows all the answers.
Well, it's because I want to give you a shot. I mean, this isn't too hard of a question, buddy.
No, ask the angry one.
How about you? I think you might know this. Give it a try.
Osmosis.
Good job. Osmosis. All right, number 4. The scientific classification system includes several levels, starting with the broadest known as kingdoms. What are the last 2 levels which make up the scientific name of any organism? I'm gonna get. Come on. What do you think?
I'm done with this class. I'm
You're
dropping
gonna
it.
need it though.
No, I can't do it anymore.
Buddy?
This is silly.
Go ahead, give it to me.
Genus and species.
All right, number 5. What is the scientific name of human beings? That's what you are. Yeah.
This is so stupid.
Homo sapiens.
Excellent. All right, nice job. Give them a round of applause.
Okay, you have to stay there because we're going to be asking for your insight in a little bit. Those of you that were doing the work, take a minute just to kind of fill in the rest of the blanks, the A, B, C, D on your worksheet.
If the 4 of you would help us by picking up all your notes and just bringing them back to that case, please so help. Thank you. You're just going to pick up all their notes and bring them back.
Stop.
No, back up here.
Yes,
They're
back
gonna
up.
answer questions about it.
All right, hopefully you have some answers written down that's going to help you to participate in the discussion. We really need for you to participate. However, just for the sake of time, we're going to go ahead and start the discussion because we only have about 10 minutes left in class. So we want to try to make sense of this role play since our actors and actresses did such a great job. I really picked up where they were at. Hopefully you did too, okay? All right, so let's start with the first person, student 1 or student 1. What was the activating event? As I told you before, it's the same for all 4 of them. What's the adversity or what's the issue that they're all dealing with? Anybody want to take a stab at that? What's the situation that they're in? Yes? They have what? Very good. That they're studying for the pop quiz or the pop test that they're going to get. So that's the pressure. That's the adversity. All of a sudden they have to deal with the fact that they need to be prepared for this test or quiz. All right, very good. So that's the same for all of these. So for the 2 people you're watching, you should have the same A. All right, let's go to his C. What kind of emotion do you think he was portraying? Based on what he was saying, based on how he was behaving, what emotion from our list did you pick up on? Was he in a healthy, positive place with what he was saying? Was he somewhere in here? Do you think he was more here? It was a little difficult to pick it up, but I think I have an idea. What do you think, Doug? Let's see if maybe we agree. What do you think he was feeling? Anybody watch student 1? Yeah, thank you.
Oh, he kept saying that he was really tired, so I'm assuming depression. People are depressed like to sleep a lot. Or, I mean, they don't sleep a lot, so never mind.
They're worn out. No, I think you're making perfect sense. Thank you so much. I would agree with you. He could be struggling from some depression based on your observations. What else? Anything else you think he might have been feeling based on how he was acting out the role? I don't know. Just watching him, and it could be, because he was such a great actor, but I was kind of getting the flushing and everything else. I think there might have been some embarrassment. Wherever he was over here. There was no doubt about it, because he was even acting out with what he was saying. Okay. All right. So if that's how he's feeling, let's stick with depression. Though that was a good observation. If he's feeling depressed, what do you think he's telling himself about being in this class? He's in biology. You're feeling depressed. Is biology the highest priority in your life? No, probably not. So what do you think he's telling himself? Yeah.
There's like no point in being there.
Okay, there's no point in being here. I didn't even do my homework. I mean, come on, who wants to do biology homework when you're feeling depressed? So yeah, no point in being here. Why am I here? This is so ridiculous. Well, in reality, learning biology to become an intelligent human being and getting your diploma makes a lot of sense. So that irrational thinking about why am I here, oh my God, could even be low frustration tolerance. Poor me, why do I have to come to this class every day? All right, so very good. He's got some disputing to do then. How is he going to dispute that? How is he going to dispute that? Oh, why am I even here? What can he say every day with biology? Because first of all, if he continues to come to biology every day and says, oh, not this class again, why do I have to be here? Do you think he's going to be successful in passing? Probably not. So he realizes it's in his best interest to challenge his thinking. Otherwise, it's going to be a long year of biology. So what could he say every day before he walks into that class to himself? What do you think? This is where it gets hard. All right, thank you.
You can make the best of it.
All right, you know what? I don't really care for this class. Let's state the obvious first. I don't really care for this, but I'm going to make the best of it. I'm going to try to learn something, one new thing today, and hopefully I'll remember it for the test. I'm just going to go ahead and just get through this class because I don't want to repeat it. All of those things would be awesome. Very good. Awesome. And if he did that, he's probably, the affective emotion is he's probably going to be frustrated that he has to go there every day, or concerned that he's going to pass because he's not really into it, but he's trying to get by. Okay? All right.
All right, let's go with student number 2. We got student number 2. So, what was his, let's skip to C. So what was his emotion?
I think something negative.
You thought he was in the healthy negative area? Okay, so which one was it then?
Frustration.
Frustration. Okay. Do you think there's any chance that you could have slipped into the right side?
Yeah.
What would that have been? Do you remember some of the things he said? Do you remember some of the things you said? Okay.
Stuff about why am I in this class? I don't even know any of this stuff. Ask the brainiac.
So it sounds like some resentment or maybe anger.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So then, again, what would be his B? What's his belief system about the class itself?
There's no point.
There's no point. Okay. All right. Good. What do you think was your belief system as being angry?
Like, what kind of...
What led to you being angry? I mean, obviously, we all
like-
had the same academic event, which is the pop quiz, the biology class.
Like, what am I going to use this in, like, the real world type stuff?
Okay, so I don't need this, right?
Yeah.
But technically, did you need it?
Yeah.
Yeah, because evidently we all have to pass biology in order to get a diploma.
I was just trying to make me some sort of like jealousy, like after his comment about the brainiac.
Exactly.
Nice observation.
Real good observation. And so what would he be telling himself then, too?
Like others are better than him.
Yeah, yeah. So there could be a lot of things working there, okay? So now if he wants to dispute this, what might he have to say? Either he is. Let's say he does want to get out of this feeling of being angry all the time, and he wants to move toward the healthy negative. What could he tell himself?
Or even jealousy. That's a
Yeah.
good one to stick with.
Sure.
What can he say to himself if he's going there and feeling jealous about people that are prepared?
You could say like that he can do just as well as like anyone else who's in that class too.
Yeah.
Awesome. Maybe this doesn't come as easy to me as that person. Obviously, know everything. Maybe I'll see if they are available to study with. I mean, that might be good problem solving once you get yourself in a healthy place. That I can do this, but I might need some help. And then you start to move in a positive direction.
And if he did move in a positive direction, where do you think he moved from then? From jealousy to what?
Well, if he's like concerned, I think it'd be concerned because like if he's trying to like study with different people.
I would agree. I think we'd be concerned also. All right, excellent.
Awesome. All right.
All right, student number 3.
What do you think? What were you picking up from her? Very different in the way she was behaving. What do you think? Anybody? Yes, thank you.
Oh, well, she didn't really say much, so I'm thinking like she had anxiety or like fear of like embarrassing herself.
See, you nailed it.
I would say
You're
you're
worried.
Is that what you were shooting for, right?
Yes.
Very good. All right, Academy Award winner right there, right in our midst. Okay, so what do you think she's telling herself then? Where's that anxiety fear coming
That
from?
she'll probably get it wrong and kill herself.
There you go. Oh, I do this all the time and I just fail. What's the point? And if people don't even know I can do this, boy, I'm such a loser. I can't even pass biology. If she stays there, is she likely to pass biology? Embarrassment, of putting yourself down, that's where embarrassment comes from. Putting yourself down, I can't do this, I'm a loser. So how was she going to say to herself to get her out of that embarrassment of participating in the class? Let's start with the preference. Does she want to be there? No. I'd really rather not be here, but I know I need this class, and I know I can do it. I just got to suck it up and start studying. You know, and I got to take some risks. That's how we learn. Everybody else in this class is in the same situation. All of those things, all of those disputing statements would help her move to a healthier place. Okay? And then,
Yeah. Who's got
Four.
student number 4? Yes, student number 4, help us out. What was her emotion?
She was happy.
She was happy, yeah. So then, what was her belief system about the class to lead her to be happy? What do you think she was thinking when she was entering class?
She knew the answers.
Yeah, that she knew the answers. I mean, we all felt that at some time or another, right? You have a test coming, you study in the next course, like, bring it on. You know, you feel good and confident. So then, let me ask you this, does she have any disputing to do? No, because she is on that healthy positive side. There's nothing to be disputed. All right, excellent.
very good. Thank you for your participation today. Hopefully we'll give you something to think about. The survey, the questionnaire, you could like to get this from us. If you